Okay, ladies and gentlemen, things are getting real. We are 3 weeks, folks. 3 weeks away from Germany, 2 weeks from the warm-up friendlies, and just days away from the squad being announced. I can't wait. Here to add some more excitement, other than my own, is the tartan scarfs, Gordon Sheik. How are you doing, Gordon?
I'm good. I'm good. As you so eloquently put there, yeah, this things are getting very, very, very real. I've been buying the magazines. I've got the 442, got the sticker album. I've got some match attacks cards. I don't know what they are. I don't know what you do with them. I know that I've got a shiny John McGinn one. So yeah, things are just getting very exciting, and there's no amount of Euros content I can't consume at this
Oh my
stage.
God. Yeah, you are sounding very much like Laura Brannan, who found the Scottish edition of 442, wasn't it, Laura?
Oh, I had to get it sent to me, yeah. I couldn't get it down here. Couldn't get it
Did
in
you get a
London,
wee
so
did you get a wee care package for like some tatty scones,
no,
square
actually that's a
sausage as
good
well?
point. No, that's a good point. My mum just sent me the magazine. Didn't get any tatty scones with it. Maybe that's coming in next week.
Unbelievable. So, Gordon, we are days away from the squad being announced, but have you got your ticket for Germany? Are you heading?
I do. Yes, I will be. I'll be out there in a couple of capacities, but I will be there for the game against Hungary. So the third game, because I
Ooh.
thought of any game I could go to, I thought the third game, obviously touching woods, touching all the wood, that if that's the game that in our 150 years that we've been at this international football game, if that's the game that takes us to the knockout stage for the first time ever, that is just a moment of history that you can't beat, you can't top that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the one I'll be at in person for him.
Well, don't touch too much wood. But Gordon, it's one of those. This squad being announcement, we're absolutely riddled with injuries. Laura's been keeping us up to date every week. And it seems a little bit doom and gloom, but are you hopeful that we've got a squad that can do something really special?
Hold on, to be fair, right, I give bad news every week. I don't want to tempt fate here, but it seems like everyone seems to have come through the last day of the Premier League season in England. Was checking out all the different players.
Oh
Seems
yeah.
like everyone played the full game or came off, quite typically around 86 minutes. Nothing there's been no worrying news that has came out yet. So for the first time in a few weeks, I don't think there is a lot of bad news to give right now.
Oh, that's good. How about
Yeah,
you, Gordon? Yeah.
absolutely. I will be completely candid that a few weeks back, I think it was that Saturday when we all thought that McTominay had blown his knee out. I was very much in the doomest of doom and gloom at that stage, thinking this is getting intolerable with how many injuries we're we're, we're,
Hmm.
we're racking up here, and especially when you think about a guy like Scott. No one deserves to be there more, and no one has done more to get us there. So for him to come on as a sub to salvage a 1-1 draw against Burnley and then potentially have his Euros ruined, that just felt like the cruelest of cruel twists. But as Laura says, like actually things the clouds seem to have cleared. And we had our doubts about McTominay and Cal McGregor and Tierney and all those guys, Gilmore even, and they all seem actually kind of okay now. I mean, in terms of what you'd think is Steve Clarke's established first 11, it's really only now Aaron Hickey, who it seems like has lost his battle with injury. But other than that, I think we're actually looking all right.
And what about Laura? What about the likes of the lad at Sturm Graz, ex-Motherwell player? Do you think he's in worth a shout? The Max
I think he's
Johnston, that's it.
I think he's an outside shout. He plays it, he can play it right back. So with Hickey being ruled out, which I just want to kind of note, the Hickey one's strange, right? He hasn't played since October.
Hmm.
But this was a hamstring injury, and I know you can get bad hamstring injuries, but this seems like a particularly bad one. He's been back in training for quite a while now, but it just feels like Thomas Frank keeps saying, "Oh no, he's back in training, but we're not going to see him back playing anytime soon." I feel like there's some question marks here over what is actually wrong, and why is it taking so long for the recovery period. But in saying that, because he's now out, we're looking for right backs. We've got Nathan Patterson, who's still a major doubt. He's also got a hamstring injury. It's not clear yet whether he'll make it or not. You've got Anthony Ralston, looks like the obvious one just now that's going to get picked to the squad. And then it's
I think
question
so.
marks after that. There's a few boys that have been mentioned. Max Johnson, like he was included for the squad. I think it was a France friendly he sat on the
Yeah,
bench for. So he's in Steve Clarke's mind. He won the league at the weekend with Sturm Graz, last minute winner as well to go top of the Austrian Bundesliga. So and they also won the cup as well a few weeks back. So things are happening.
We're all getting distracted by Gordon's wonderful black cat right now, which I think
That
is
was
the
amazing.
Well, good
perfect
luck.
omen.
Well,
Has to
good
be the
luck.
perfect omen for us.
That was class. So yeah, to round up, the problem with Max is he's not been playing regularly. He tends to come on as a sub more than he does start games. So there may be question marks over just how much experience he's been getting this year or how much sharp he is. But he's clearly in Steve Clarke's mind, and he is a very, very talented young boy. So personally, I would put him in, considering how kind of sparse we are in that position.
What about goalkeepers? Because Angus Gunn has been between the sticks for quite a while, and I think he's done absolutely excellent. But he had an absolute shocker for Norwich at the weekend against Leeds. The first two goals were absolutely inexcusable. But we've also seen Craig Gordon come back for Hearts recently too. Obviously, there's rumours that he might not be in the squad. Maybe he will be in the squad. I think he definitely will. But who do you think should be starting in between the sticks, guys?
I mean, I think look, it's Guns. It's 100%. It's Angus Gunn's jersey. It's Angus Gunn's gloves. He will start for Scotland at the Euros. I think beyond that, I can't see a world where he doesn't take Craig Gordon. I think Craig Gordon has to go. I think even just for that continuity, the fact that you look at we had McLaughlin, Marshall, and Gordon at the last Euros. I think that experience, like again, we speak a lot about the experience that they got in 2021 and that how important that'll be coming into this summer. So for that reason alone, I think you have to take Craig Gordon because he's been there, he's done it, he's gone to major finals. So even if he's not there to play, as the voice of advice in Angus Gunn's ear, having been to a major finals with Scotland, I think is invaluable. So I think Gordon definitely goes, and then third choice is up for grabs.
I think we'll see four named in the squad on Wednesday. Because this it's 26 man squad that goes to Germany, but
Yeah,
I mean, we saw was it Hungary last week named like a 38-man squad.
yeah,
So
that's right.
I think that who we'll see named this week coming isn't a clear indication yet of who will actually go in a couple of weeks' time, because we've also got the two friendlies coming up. So I fully expect all four keepers to be in on Wednesday. But the rules aren't actually this clear. I don't know if Gordon, you can clear this up for me. The rules say that in the 26-man squad, it will be three keepers named. It doesn't say a minimum or maximum of three. So to me, that implies you can only pick three, but it's not 100% clear on if you can actually up that to four.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has to be three. Three seems to be again. I was trying to do my digging as well, and I was looking into the last squads for the last Euros, and there was actually plenty of teams actually that ended up having four goalkeepers in their squads, but that was only because one got injured and had to drop out, and then they were allowed to replace a goalkeeper with
Yeah,
a
that is the
third.
one player you can replace. Yeah, the one position you can replace
And again,
during the competition.
you're absolutely right. So the squad that gets announced on Wednesday does not have to be 26 man. It can be more than that, and then they can cut down. So for example, like Germany currently have four goalkeepers in their squad, and I think they named a 27-man squad, so they'll presumably cut one of them by the time it gets to the tournament. I think it's the 7th of June that the final squads have to be submitted.
Yeah, in saying that though, Steve Clarke won't test any of them, and Angus Gunn will play both the friendlies, and we'll be none the wiser over which one he's going to drop.
Is it not better to have a wider pool of people, especially maybe given our circumstances, who are players like Max Johnston, who don't have any international experience or very limited international experience, can be invited along and just get that experience anyway? Steve Clarke can get a look at them. There might be players that have been looking sharper, fresher in May, that compared to some of the other people that might be shoo-ins for the squad, who actually look really tired or just a bit off form or whatever. And also, is it maybe easier sending home, say, 10 or 12 players from a squad rather than like 2 or 3? Is that not quite heartbreaking? Is it maybe easier if there's a big group of guys that know that they're not going to make the final squad and head home?
I'd only respond to that by thinking the more that go, the less one-to-one time coaches have with players. So the mainstays of the squad, they'll be all right. But anyone who's on the periphery, coaches might want to focus on them a little bit more, rather than having to focus on five other guys that might be in that vying for that position or whatever. So the smaller the squad is, the tighter it is, and the more and less distraction there can be too. That would be my own thinking cap from a coaching point of view, with all those coaching badges that I have and Scotland setups that I've been involved in.
Well, who
But
do you think? Who do you think are on the outside? Who's an outside chance? Do you think?
For the whole squad.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about Connor Barron from
Mm-hmm.
Aberdeen could be selected, which I think is really interesting. Scored one of the best goals of the season as well. I think that could be very interesting to see him in the lineup.
They tend to bring a few kind of young boys along for experience as well, that are kind of boot boys almost in the final tournament. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see someone like that, or even Tommy Conway. Someone who is young, can do it if we need to turn to them, but I doubt they'll get any kind of time to feature. But I'm
Who
sure
does
they
Tommy
built it
Conway
with-
play for again?
Bristol City. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
he's had a good season, scored a lot of goals in the Championship, scored a couple of goals against West Ham in the FA Cup as well. Still young player, but he's been through the 21s as well. So like the Scotland coaching staff will know him inside out. They'll have a lot of reports on him. I think certainly like when you look at what Steve Clarke, the approach he took for 2021, when the squads got expanded to 26 players, he used those extra 3 slots effectively for guys that were almost prospect players, for the guys that he was investing, thinking these are going to be the next generation. Let's get them in, spend a month with the Scotland squad, which, you know, no Scotland manager had the chance to do for a full generation and a half, and see where they go. So obviously that was Turnbull, Gilmore and Patterson, who were all uncapped when they got called up to the Euro squads, and then they played in the friendlies pre-tournament. So I think I can see him going in that direction, you know, whether it's, like you say, Tommy Conway, Max Johnston, and back in training, probably back fit, Ben Doak as well. I mean, I think earlier in the season, I felt like he was an absolute shoo-in to be in the squad, you know, given how much he was around that Liverpool first team squad. Obviously, been injured, hasn't come back to play for Liverpool yet, but if he's fit and he's got, again, in that same way, this is a guy that we believe could be a prospective future star for Scotland, I'd take him. 100% I'd take him.
That's interesting that you know, I totally agree. I'd love to see Ben Doak in the top squad. But what about someone like James Forrest? A guy who really hasn't been in this season at all, but in the last few weeks has totally helped Celtic to the league title with some massive goals, key moments. Is he not someone that could come into this Scotland squad? And I know there's been question marks on him when he has played for Scotland, but that experience and that winning mentality is quite vital for any football player. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having him in. I personally, I've had issues with him in the past because I've always felt like the James Forrest we see for Scotland is not the James Forrest we see for Celtic. They're two very different players, and that is so frustrating to watch. There's times with Hampden I remember screaming because he wouldn't cross like the halfway line almost, and it was like somebody put like a wall up, and I don't know if it was like the way that Craig Levein or Gordon Strachan had told him to play and wouldn't want him to get as attacking as he did for Celtic, but it was a very frustrating time to watch him. And saying that though, I remember it was at the Nations League against, it was either Albania or Israel. It was the first year we played in the Nations League, and he had an absolute stormer of a campaign there. I say campaign, it was only a couple of games. So he has done well for us. I don't know how we'd fit into Steve Clarke's system though. We don't tend to play wingers like that. So it would require a change of shape if that's necessary, fine, and it means that we're versatile and able to change in terms of what team we're playing. I'm not against it. I'm just a little apprehensive about putting him in.
Is there an argument though that, say, a player like James Forrest, maybe the argument between freshness and experience, because there's no doubting that James Forrest has a lot of experience and we know what he can bring to a squad, but is there maybe something against the opponents that we've got in our group where bringing in kind of unknown quantities to these teams, they'll find it harder to know how to play against maybe some of the younger players that have had really good seasons? Could be worth having those players in the squad, the likes of Lennon Miller or David Watson, Connor Barron, and certainly Max Johnston that we've already spoken about, Sturm Graz. Is there maybe an argument for taking a couple of these guys just to give us something slightly different and maybe giving us a bit of an advantage when it comes to substitutions or trying to change games tactically, give us a bit of freshness later on in the group stages?
Yes, yeah. Look, I think you're absolutely spot on when you say that. You know, we know exactly how Steve Clarke operates now. You know, he's had this job for pushing 5 years now. You know, and he is very well established in it. I think and you are absolutely spot on that he absolutely tends to go for the players that he he knows very well. But yeah, I think for me, you're right in that having that fresh option off the bench, like you said, guys that are maybe haven't played that much football this season will mean they're even more fresh. And again, that's probably where I still think that Ben Doak's the one that I would just love to see in the squad, because I think especially for the fans as well, you think you're talking about the last 10, 15 minutes of a game, especially if it's going to be hot out there in Germany, we've had a tough game, and, to have a guy that can come on with that sort of pace and directness, who just, certainly in the games that I've seen him play in the Europa League and in like League Cup games in England, he just has no fear whatsoever as to the players he's coming up against, and he will run at anybody. So he's certainly the one that I would like to see come on and change the game. I mean, and again, to what I was saying earlier, he's certainly played more minutes this season than I think Billy Gilmore played in the season before he went to the last Euros.
Would you take Forrest, Gordon?
I think Forrest is a good shout. I think he is. Again, he's someone who's come into a really good run of form at the end of the season. He's a known quantity. We know what we're going to get from him. I know he's played some games potentially at right wing back for Scotland in the past. I think if Hickey and Patterson were fit and available and in the squad, I think there's no chance that James Forrest, we'd be speaking about James Forrest right now. But just that big gaping hole in that right side of our defence, it does beg the question. And I think the options that we've spoken about with other guys, Ralston's only got a handful of caps, Max Johnston's been in a squad, but hasn't really played for us. James Forrest does have a lot of caps. He's got a lot of experience. So maybe he's the one that they turn to.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see what the squad is. I'm so excited to see Germany lose 5-0 to Scotland on the opening day. It's just like 98 all over again. What is it with Scotland in the opening ceremonies, eh?
Think they'll turn up in their kilts?
Oh, that would be nice.
Hope so.
Well,
you could see Steve Clarke in a kilt. Not a chance.
I don't know, I actually could. Do you know, I thought it was weird. I watched Man City getting the Premier League trophy, and when Pep Guardiola came out in his Man City strip, and I thought it was a really weird thing to see, managers in football strips. It was just something didn't sit right with me. So I can't imagine Steve Clarke in a strip, but I could imagine him in a kilt.
It would be nice. Steve Clarke in a kilt. Finn, you for it?
100%. Yeah.
Well, in fact, Gordon, you'll be in. Are you going to wear a kilt for the whole tournament?
No, I don't think so. I'll be because I'm sort of going to be out there partly in a working capacity, partly in a fan capacity. So yeah, I'll have to sort of wear two hats. Wear two hats.
That means you can't do too much drinking then either. What a shame. What a shame, Squire.
No, I think kilts are for match day.
Yeah.
And then you can wear a strip in between and stuff with a pair of shorts or something, but a kilt every day is a bit much.
Would you take anything that isn't Scotland related on your trip?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely doing that, yeah.
Oh,
I don't,
wow.
but then I don't really like wearing strips in hot weather. So, yeah, it's uncomfortable.
I did say this in the last podcast, but do you know what my problem's going to be for the Euros, guys? Because I'm going out to America. So I'm going out to America to cover the Copa America. So I've not even properly digested
what the time difference is going to be.
Oh, no. I mean that's amazing. That's an amazing gig to get. So that's class. But yeah, does that mean that you can also work and then watch the games and just not sleep?
I mean, that's not good for my health, but I'm Scottish.
It's only
so
1 month, Andrew.
Whereabouts are you going to be based in America? Are you on the East Coast or the West Coast?
I'm everywhere. So I'm doing the opening ceremony in Miami or Atlanta. But I'll be in Atlanta at some point. Then New Jersey, then over to I think San Francisco, then Las Vegas, and then back to Miami.
It's slightly easier when you're on the East Coast for kickoffs. It's actually really good because you basically roll out of bed, say like 7 a.m. and there's a game if it's close to lunchtime or just after. So yeah, I think you might be all right for a couple of the best
thing is I'm going out with like a heavy Scottish crew as well. So we're all in the same sort of boat. So it's going to be a good laugh.
I think you'll be okay actually, because obviously all of our games are the late kickoff in the group stage. So
that's a good point.
So they'll be potentially like mid-afternoon for you if you're on the East Coast, or in the morning on the West Coast.
Yeah, and I haven't double checked if we are on our match day. I fly out the day after the opening day, so I will see us beat Germany.
I love the thought of you slaving stoating around somewhere in like New Jersey at like 3 p.m. Trying to find a bar that not only shows the game but is serving tenants on draft as well. Absolutely raging because you can't find somewhere that's got it.
I love that
Yeah,
now that you're going to a different continent during this time, and then Finn's actually coming home during this
I
time.
know.
So
I
we're
know.
never going to
Maybe
be in the same continent at the same time.